What's up, everyone? Kriddle here, and I want to give my thoughts on Monsters and Memories. So, if you don't know, currently Monsters and Memories is in a closed testing phase, but it does have some public open days and weekends like this past weekend. A little bit about the game is it's coming out in early access in January of 2026. There will be no wipes on characters after early access starts, and there's going to be no box price for this game, but there will be a $15 a month sub. So if you want to check it out, be sure to look for those public tests. Overall, I had a lot of fun playing this game over the weekend. I didn't get to play as much as I wanted to, but the time that I did play, I had a blast. The game feels great with balanced mechanics and enemies. There's a lot of classes to choose from, possibly too many classes if you were to ask me, but as long as there's not a lot of overlap between the different classes, that could be okay. And this game is also very, very old school with dated visuals, sounds, visual effects, things like that. But if you can look past that in the beginning, they do grow on you over time. Personally, I don't care about those kinds of things as long as the game is fun, and this game is so far. As for the gameplay, I absolutely loved the grouping. This is by far the best part of the game and exactly what I'm looking for in an old school MMO. Finding other players your level, establishing a camp, and just kind of hanging out with friends just felt right. In this game, you want to have a tank, a healer, some DPS, and a dedicated crowd control class, which is something that is missing from newer MMOs today. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time to get into crafting too much, but the crafting was fairly simple of just having the ingredients, go to the correct crafting station, and clicking craft after you find the item that you want to make. Some of the crafts do require sub-ingredients, which you may have to craft one item to then use that item into another craft, but it wasn't too complex, at least at the start. Leveling crafting did take a lot of time and a lot of materials, as crafting does have a chance to fail and the loss of materials from that. Another really cool use of crafting is you could kind of upgrade trash drops from enemies. So for example, you could take a rusty weapon and then go to a blacksmith station and sharpen it using a sharpening stone and turn it into a tarnished weapon, making it slightly better. That brings us to itemization, which seems about right, at least with the lower level gear that I saw. There were no stats on the beginner, kind of trash drop gear other than armor class, but there were rare items that would drop off of named mobs that had +1 or 2 to a stat, as well as some HP, mana, things like that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that grows throughout the game as you get to higher level and harder content. The last thing I want to talk about as far as gameplay is questing. I'm sure there will be people out there that love this questing system, but I would prefer to have an actual quest journal as opposed to the journal currently in the game, which is basically just a list of NPCs you have talked to and their dialogue. To advance a quest, you have to use keywords in chat and hand over items in a trade style window, which always makes me afraid I have missed a keyword and will lose my item when doing the turn-in. This is a throwback to EverQuest 1, and I love that, but it just feels like we could have a better system today. There are some other interesting features in the game, but ultimately I'm not really sure how I feel about them. One is talking to guards and asking them where NPCs or places are located. This seems like a fun feature and in fact was very helpful at times, but I'm not sure how much use it will get once the game actually comes out and all the information is readily available online. The same thing goes for not having maps in the game. I love that they don't have maps for the feel of the adventure, trying to go out and learn where you're going, talk to other players, all of that kind of stuff. But let's be honest, eventually all of this information will be online. Players will be making maps and posting them online, and we're just going to be opening up maps on another device or on a different screen, and it's going to basically defeat the whole purpose of not having the map in the game. And finally, there is also a mud feature in the game where you could use chat commands to do things like look, smell, open, take, etc. This seems like it could be a neat feature, but for my use, it just felt kind of forced, almost like we put it in the game, so we're going to find a way to use it. In my playtime, I only used this once, so we'll have to see how it actually gets incorporated into the game later on. But it could be fun. It could also just be kind of a cumbersome thing to have. Anyway, this game has a lot of promise, and I'll be watching it as we get closer to the January early access release, so be sure to check back for future content as we learn more. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!